I've studied the wealthiest people in the world obsessively, and I've uncovered 13 habits that they embody that's helped them become the absolute elite. And I've applied these non-sales habits over the last decade plus, and it took me from being a broke, insecure rep to becoming a confident sales leader, closing millions of dollars every year, winning every possible award, printing cash, being promoted 10 times in 10 years, and retiring at 35. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, these habits have made the greatest impact on me, not just from a results perspective, but also just life happiness. By the way, I'm Mark Sher, founder of Six Figure Sales Academy, in which we help B2B sales pros earn an additional $50,000 to $100,000 more each year through high performance coaching programs. Let's go ahead and dive right in. In this training today, I'm going to cover really three core things. Number one, the 13 simple habits that I've learned from obsessively studying the wealthiest people in the world and the goats of their game. And this is people from their sports, business, sales, life, all across the board. I'm going to go through also the life success equation that determines your future. This is probably the most important equation you're going to learn for this year and really beyond. I'm also going to go through the number one habit that I've developed over time that has had the greatest impact on my life, my sales results, my relationships, and really overall happiness as well. Now, before I dive into it, I do want to uncover the unpopular truth about habits. The truth is this: everything you do is a habit, whether it's good or bad. For example, if you're hitting snooze every single morning, that's a habit. Brushing your teeth is a habit. So most people have developed a habit of brushing teeth twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, or hopefully at least those two. Not planning is a habit. Planning is a habit. Eating is a habit. Whatever you eat consistently is a habit. How we react to a lost deal, how we prospect, etc. And the truth is, the habits we develop, they ultimately become our identity and the results. And this is regardless of the lies we tell ourselves, because there's what we say and then there's what we do. So for example, I know a lot of people that say, hey, Marcus, I want to start a side hustle and business. I'm really interested into it, and I've been working really hard to do it. But how are they spending their free time and their money? Most people are not doing anything. They say, I want to get in great shape, but they're not willing to build the right habits for eating properly, working out, etc. And the reality is, you can tell someone's true priorities by how they consistently spend their time and their money. Bad habits very rarely impact just one aspect of our lives. It usually has a compounding effect across really multiple aspects. For example, I used to have a very gross habit of biting my nails. This is something I started doing when I think I was 5 or 6 years old. And it actually went on into even my late 20s. And I never really thought much about it because it was a habit. For example, it wasn't just me biting my nails in private. Like, it got to the point where the habit kept building, where I actually would do it in public and not even realize. So I would be sitting in a group meeting, and when I was deep in thought, I'd start hand going up, biting the fingernail, and I wouldn't even realize it. And it wasn't until a friend of mine, a peer, said, that's pretty gross, Marcus. Why are you always biting your nails? Are you nervous? I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, I noticed you always bite your nails. I'm like, crap. I'm like, and I thought maybe they just saw my fingernails. No, I see you do literally all the time. I'm like, oh my God, like, how often am I doing this? And the truth was, I'm sure that probably grossed out a lot of people, right? It was a nasty habit. But once I realized that, I had to build a new habit to get rid of that habit. And the reality is, most people have very small habits, but they can have a really disastrous effect if it's not fixed. It's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts over time. And I'll give you another example. If you have the habit of every morning not saying good morning to your spouse, hugging them, telling them you love them, and you just never do that as a habit, they may not feel love because of that, especially if that's their love language, right? And vice versa. So you can see these things can, over time, can actually impact and build up. Before you know, it's 5 years. They're like, oh, you never tell me you love me. That's not a good habit, okay? So once you realize a habit doesn't serve you, then you can make the habits, or make the shift to habit stack high leverage habits like what I'm going to show you today. And this is where it starts with really that self-awareness as well. Because some of these habits I'm going to show you today, you might be like, it's really simple, but it might be simple to do, and it's simple to not do as well. Before we dive into the habits, I want you to understand the life success equation, because the habits I'm going to go through today that I learned from the wealthiest people, most successful people in the world, they drive towards this life success equation. The equation is simply this: it's energy times focus. So energy multiplied by focus to the time power, if you will. It's exponentially multiplied out by time, and it equals your results. And when you really think about this, a lot of people say, oh, I need to manage my time. You actually need to manage your energy. That's the first piece. So when you really think about this, your energy wears out as the day goes on. When you think about your day, have you ever noticed if you had a very busy, very packed day, by the end of the day, you're just like worn out for in front of your family. So your energy is limited, and you have to have habits that help drive up your energy and help you preserve your energy to do the hardest things in your day that are the highest leverage. And that's why if you do a lot of energy draining things throughout the day, it could just wear you out by like noon. So this is why it's important to make sure you maximize it. And energy has a cap. You can only have so much energy because you're only human. I'll give you an example. My son, Roman, he's 5 years old at the time of this recording. I could tell, exercises a lot of energy and willpower in the day to be very well behaved as much as possible in school. Now, once he's out of school, he gets home, it might be a totally different situation now because his willpower is gone now. He's already used all his energy to drive that. And it's the same with human beings. This is why we oftentimes will make poor decisions when our energy is low. So there's a cap there. So you want to maximize your energy. The next piece you want to maximize is also your focus. And focus is a multiplier of energy. Like whatever you focus on will expand. So that you see that wildly true. Those who achieve the most in life ultimately have the greatest focus. So you always want to constantly be working on improving your focus as well, being more focused and less distracted or eliminate distractions. So this way you can have better results. So you must have habits in place that help you focus on the right things that are the highest leverage. This is why when you look at someone and say even in sales, if they're earning $50,000 a year versus someone who's earning $500,000 a year, both have the same amount of time, but one manages their focus significantly better and their energy significantly better. So their results are significantly better. And then one of the greatest things to have is anything that compounds. So time helps compound everything. So if you have consistency over time, it actually has an exponential compounding effect of everything that you do. Now, on the flip side, if you have really poor energy management and poor focus, that compound over time leads to a really mediocre life. Because this is what most people do unintentionally. They don't realize the habits they have for energy or for the focus. And over time, they keep doing it and they wake up something 5-10 years later. I'm X years old. I haven't achieved what I want to achieve. There's people that are the same age. They're doing way more than me. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you except your energy and focus are in the wrong spots. And over time, it's just magnified. On the flip side, if you have excellent energy management, hyper focus, that compound over time will suddenly make you an overnight success. And this is just simply your habits exponentially growing over time. So that's why you'll see some people who develop good habits early on. You don't think much about it. And suddenly 5 years later, 10 years later, wow, this person came out of nowhere. They didn't come out of nowhere. They had the right habits in place that maximize their energy and increase their focus. And over time, the results became absolutely insane. So let's just say, for example, even from a math perspective, if you the average person has about 2 units of energy in the day, and you multiply that by 2 units of focus, over 2 years, by simple math, that's 16 units of results. Now, take someone who's got 5 units of energy, and you multiply by 5 units of focus over the same amount of time, they have 625 units of results. Now, we're just using the metric of units here, but that's 39 times the results over the same amount of time because person one had less energy and less focus. That's why the right habits get magnified over time, and the bad habits also get magnified over time. So following simple habits I'm going to go over are a result of focusing on maximizing energy, my energy I'll talk about here, and increasing my focus. Ultimately leads to results in high performance. And I want to do a little side note here because we're not robots. You're not a robot. I'm not a robot. And it's not about being perfect every single time. But if you are whatever you're consistent with, it leads to results. Like no one's perfect 100% of the time. Like, these are really simple to do, but they're not easy. The ones who win the long game are the ones who execute this most consistently and for the longest. So that being said, let's dive into the results. So the number one thing I'll tell you right now, the number one shift I probably have had is sleep. Now you might be thinking, oh, okay, yeah, sleep. I get that. But I'm telling you right now, do you really get that? Do you really get proper good sleep? So the number one habit for me is like, when I realized this, I realized I thought I was getting good sleep. I really wasn't. It's making sure I had the proper REM sleep and deep sleep, because this actually helps you recover. So this is why even sometimes, even if you have 8 or 10 hours of sleep, but if you don't hit the proper amount of REM cycles or deep sleep, you wake up feeling tired. This happens for a lot of people. So if you have a bad night's sleep, it's going to impact your performance the next day or even beyond that. Like, for example, from a sales perspective, imagine if you only got 2 hours sleep the night before, try cold call the next day for 4 hours. Your results are not going to be that good. You're not going to feel energized. You're going to procrastinate. So you want to have good habits to help your sleep. This is such a common habit I see across the board. And it's, unfortunately, I've seen the unfortunate perpetuation in that hustle culture of sleep 3 hours, 4 hours, and just hustle. Yeah, you could do that, or you get more sleep and you're more effective in the hours you're actually working. And I've seen this to be wildly true for myself, making sure I get better sleep. But there's some things that I have to do personally to increase my sleep. So, for example, I actually have a sleeping disorder. I have sleep apnea. I actually have a CPAP and everything. And I know you're thinking, like, isn't that for like people that are like usually like really huge and overweight? Yeah, I just happen to have it. I don't know why, I just have it. Anyways, once I realized that I did a sleep study, I made sure I solved that problem by making sure I got a CPAP. So that really helps. I also use what's called an Oura ring. So I have an Oura ring. This is a ring right here. And there's many sleep trackers out there, but I love this because this actually measures how I sleep. You know, the REM cycle, how much REM sleep I'm getting, how much deep sleep I'm getting, my heart rate, how many beats per minute, my resting heart rate, etc. And this tells me a lot right there. So that's really useful because ultimately, when you have awareness on things, you can improve it. And I can always tell when I look at my stats every single day, I can tell if I had a rough night, even though I maybe got a lot of sleep. I've had nights where maybe I slept 10 hours. I should feel more energized. I look at my app. I'm like, crap, I only got maybe 10% or maybe 10 minutes of REM sleep and deep sleep. And that's why I didn't sleep well. So I'm tracking it. I also make sure my room is set up properly to enhance my sleep. So that's doing anything from lowering the temperature to about 68 degrees. I do a little cooler, but my wife doesn't like that. But the cooler, the better. You sleep better for that. I also only have red lights in my bedroom. So the red lights help activate the melatonin, helps you sleep better as well. So after 8 p.m., we turn the red lights on, and that helps me trigger and sleep better. And we have night lights around our house as well because we have a kiddo. All the night lights upstairs where we all sleep is red. So that, again, that helps with that sleep as well. We have blackout curtains. That really helps too. We have comfortable beds. All that stuff is really critical. We have even a noise machine. All those things, again, helps with that too. The next thing I do as well is I make sure my phone is set up properly to help me sleep. So one of the things a lot of people do is they love to be on their phones at night and end up ruining their sleep. So one of the things I do to make it a little bit simpler, so for example, do not disturb mode, but I also activate a red light filter after 8 p.m. on my phone, which you can do on an iPhone, you can do on Android, is a red light filter, and that helps it just has more red light, and again, reduce my desire to want to use my phone, but also it helps me sleep too, and not really use my phone. And then, of course, making sure I have a good routine as well. So I have a routine every night on how I go to sleep. I'm not going into deal about my routine because everyone's routine is a little bit different, but it's anything from gratitude list, not being on my phone, writing stuff out, reading a little bit of meditation. All those things help with that consistently. And doing it consistently helps with sleep, and it trains you to sleep. So it means going to sleep at the same time every single night and train yourself to sleep. So this way your body adapts so you are able to actually enter the right REM state and also deep sleep as well. All right. So that's all just sleep right there. This has been massive for me. On top of that, when you're getting that quality sleep, you want at least 7 to 8 hours minimum as well, quality sleep. But you're not going to know unless you have data to track it. And I've done all these things over time to get stuff. All right. So that's number one. This is huge for high performance across the board. You can't run a multi-million-dollar business or multi-billion-dollar business for those entrepreneurs if you don't sleep well. Number two, and again, this helps you drive up the energy part and also improves your focus. Also ties to above. Now, number two is food and diet. Now, your body is a machine. And when you think about it as a machine, it can burn dirty energy or clean energy. It's like your car. You can get the cheapest gasoline, which will still run, but you're also burning dirty fuel. So your performance is not as well optimized. When you put in, premium fuel or more expensive fuel, you have cleaner energy. And your body's the same way. When you put in clean energy, you get a clean output. When you put in dirty energy, you get a dirty output. Meaning when you eat a bunch of junk food, etc., you're not gonna feel that good. So for example, if from a sales perspective, if I'm about to run a full day of sales calls or sales demos, if in the morning I eat 2,000 calories of like breakfast burritos and pancakes and hash browns, it's full of oil and salt and sodium, delicious. I love to eat that stuff, but I'm not going to feel that good on those calls. My energy is going to be down. As a result, my focus is going to be all over the place as well. On top of that, when you typically eat that type of heavy stuff, like even if you eat it even in the morning or even later in the day, your body's trying to process the whole time. All right. So, for example, the way I eat relatively clean, minimal processed foods, clean ingredients. We check labels all the time. Fresh fruit, veggies, meats, etc. Clean carbs. We make sure it's controlled how much food we're intaking, but also timing as well, making sure we're really consistent on when we eat every single day. So your body gets trained into it, right? This is making sure your body's trained to have clean eating habits. Now, I'll give you an example here. So the nights that I have cheat meals, because I still have one cheat meal, I can tell now, going back to the sleep habits, my resting heart rate will go from an average of 39 to 41, which was what it usually is, 48 to 50. That's a 25% increase because of that. And I never sleep as well. Like my deep sleep reps, they go down. So usually what I'll do is I don't like to run sales call or sales meetings on weekends. It's family time. For my business, I like to have a cheat meal on, say, Friday night, because the next day I know I don't need to do anything that requires massive energy and focus. Because if I did, I never feel good. And the reality is when I slipped up, because I'm human, I had a cheat meal on a Wednesday. I'm telling you right now that sleep is never good. The next day, no matter how much sleep I get, I don't feel as good. I can't perform at the same level. I can't process as quick as well. And when you eat that heavy meal, like a cheat meal, when you're trying to sleep, your body's trying to process it through. It's not clean energy. It's dirty energy. So number 2, food and diet. This helps increase your energy and focus. Number 3, hydration. So this is, again, burning clean energy again. So the more hydrated you are, the better it's going to be for your health, physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. So for example, I drink 40 ounces of water by 6:30 a.m. with this. And then about my total day, I'll drink about 120 to 200 ounces of water a day. And I weigh about 160 pounds. And I think the study I read, they recommend you drink at least half your body weight in ounces so that we can drink that. I'm not sure what it is in liters or kilograms. You can look that up later. But anyways, my goal is really 2 things, which is because this is what my coach taught me as a competitive swimmer growing up. He said, Marcus, your pee should be C and C, clear and copious. And as a competitive swimmer, we would sweat all day in the pool because we're in the pool, like, 3 to 4 hours a day, but we wouldn't know if we sweated or not. So drinking a lot of water is really key. So I made that a habit consistently throughout, and it's really served me well. And I feel healthier by simply drinking more water, and I feel more hydrated as well. On top of that, here's a side habit benefit. Because a lot of people are working remote or from home. This is my home office here. Because I drink so much water, it forces also me to stop what I'm doing and take bathroom breaks too. So that's also good too. That's a good side benefit. But again, this helps me stay more, gives me energy and more focus as well. Number 4, exercise. So this is self-explanatory, but you should have daily exercise as well. So body movement. So for me personally, I like to do morning workouts to get the blood and oxygen pumping to my brain and release endorphins. So before I do any work, I personally like to have a good workout in. That really helps me as well. So that daily exercise is really key. Now, not everyone needs to do that, but having daily exercise is really important for your just personal health. And on top of that, because it's a habit now of doing that in the morning, I feel like I've already accomplished something already. I'm like, cool, this is like 6 a.m. I've already done more than most people do it all day, which is, I feel good about. And then number 2, I also make sure I'm constantly moving. So I do about 10,000 steps a day minimum every single day. So making sure I get my steps in every single day. So that way, again, it goes to the health piece to make sure I'm moving around and not being stagnant. Whatever's in motion stays in motion when you keep moving it. When you stop things and you lose momentum, etc. Again, these are habits, again, that help you and train you across the board. And by the way, when you're doing these hard things, is training you to consistently do hard things as well. It's like a sub habit amongst all these. All right, habit number 5. So this is reflection. Now, this is a big one. This is where I believe a lot of people miss the ball on. And it's making sure you have a really tight feedback loop, which ultimately leads to the right focus and prioritization. So if you're not familiar with the feedback loop, it means you do something, you measure it, see what type of outcome you got out of it, you analyze it, and then depending on what the result was, you can correct it and repeat it and do something different. And you keep going till you get the desired result. So I'll give you a really simple example. It ties back to what I mentioned earlier. If I ate a cheat meal of a whole pizza and 4 cinnamon rolls, which I absolutely love, and then I sleep terrible, have a terrible sleep score, don't get a proper REM sleep or deep sleep, and I feel awful, I can't perform at the same level, I'm analyzing and realizing, that wasn't a good decision. As a result, I shouldn't eat big cheat meals before big days, so I can do something different. And this allows me to improve every part of my life. But the mistake a lot of people make is they don't take the time to reflect, because when you take time to reflect, then you realize, That's not good. I got to change my focus and prioritize differently. And the key is making sure you have ways to do it daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly for every aspect of your life. Because what happens is when you do consistently, this builds massive self-awareness. When you have massive self-awareness, that's how you begin to make changes in your life. When you do not have awareness, it's really hard to change your life. So for example, every single day, as part of what I personally do is as I wrap my day up and I'm doing my gratitude list as well, I'm actually writing down 3 things I did that moved me towards my goal for the month or quarter or year. So think about that for a second. That means if I'm not able to put anything down, I didn't do a good job with my day. And then I write down those 3 things, if not more, and then I write down 1 improvement. So for example, let's just say I didn't do a good job planning my day. I thought I was gonna get all these things. I didn't get anything done. So I'm not really happy. I didn't do anything to contribute towards my big quarterly goal. My improvement might be what I'm going to do better tomorrow is plan out tomorrow minute by minute. So now you have this tight feedback loop because you have this massive awareness, which now gives you a laser focus for the next day and the right prioritization. At the end of each week, I also make sure I reflect on the week and think about what gave me energy, what took away energy, what's the most important things the business needs for the business, what does each team member need, what can I remove from my calendar, what can I add to my calendar, what decisions did I make for the week that potentially can have a different impact down the road. So again, I'm adding more awareness to myself, even on a weekly basis. And then monthly, it's the same thing as well. I'll do a monthly reflections of wins and opportunities of the prior month. So again, this adds more self-awareness. And ultimately, when I'm aware, I can change priorities and focus and put my energy in different areas. And same thing quarterly as well. So you get my point here. Having that reflection automated is really key, making that a habit. All right, number 6. So preparation. This is key. Combined with reflection, this is huge because this allows you to prioritize what's most important. As they say, the separation is in the preparation. So when you plan a strategy, this helps you daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And when you're able to do that consistently, this helps you eliminate decision fatigue in all aspects of life. And the reality is when you make too many decisions in the day, and most people do that are absolutely menile, you have less energy. Every decision you make takes away your energy. And it's the smallest thing that most people don't realize. For example, deciding in the morning, should I eat waffles, pancakes, or have a smoothie? That's a decision. What should I wear? Should I wear a t-shirt, a collared shirt, a polo, a dress, a skirt, a pantsuit? What should I wear? In every single day, you have these micro decisions that add up. And that's why a lot of times by the end of the day, if you made too many decisions, you burnt up your energy, it's hard for you to focus to make good decisions at the end of the day. That's why you never usually want to make decisions at the end of the week or end of the day when you have the least amount of energy and focus, because you'll probably make the wrong decision. And that's how people fall off the train. So for example, if you made a lot of bad decisions all throughout the day, or made a lot of decisions throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, you're worn out and you're not sure what should we do for dinner, you're going to go the path of least resistance. What's in the fridge first? Oh, you know what? We left for a pizza. Let's eat that. Or let's go on to Postmates. Let's go on to Grubhub. Let's order just whatever looks good. And of course, they have always some kind of position that make you want to buy pizza, hot dogs, burgers, whatever. And you're most likely to get that now as a result. Again, when you prepare properly, this is why when you meal prep, do things like that, it helps you minimize the decision fatigue because now you don't have to worry. It's done for you. So that's why meal prep companies are great to help you with that as well. Now, for me personally, I like to eliminate as many decisions as possible so I can focus my energy on the decisions that make the most impact. So for example, I wear literally the same thing every single day. I literally wear a black V-neck shirt, these blue Lululemon slacks every single day. If it's warm out, I wear literally running shorts. All right. So it's the same black running shorts or gray running shorts every single time. So I know I don't need to think. I just put that on and I'm good to go. I'm eliminating decision fatigue. Now, have people made fun of me? For sure. They say, oh, is that the life you want to live? I really don't care. To me, it's just clothing. It's not a big deal for me. I'm not a fashion influencer. That's not my thing. I much rather take that energy and make decisions on things that are going to improve my overall life quality for my family and everything else. Back when I was in corporate America, I literally used to wear like 3 types of suits: black suits, gray suits, blue suits, white shirt. It was a colored tie, colored socks. I just grabbed random ones. It's not they didn't even match, but I do. It's the same uniform every single day to eliminate decision fatigue. This is why when you look back on pictures on, say, Steve Jobs, he always wore the same things: blue jeans, black feet, or black turtleneck. Same consistency, because he did not want to think. He used his brilliant brain to focus on things that actually matter. Same thing with what I eat and when I eat. So even every single morning, it's the same thing. Coffee with protein powder. I have a smoothie every single day. It's the same type of smoothie every single day. Now I'll switch it up for dinner because for the family and stuff, but it's relatively consistent. We have the same 5-6 meals every single week. So we order the same grocery, so we know exactly what to get. So this makes it very easy. And of course, we switch it up when we order out once a week, and we choose something different to switch it up. Now, some people don't want to do this, but ultimately, by the preparing, you eliminate some of these decisions you have to make. And you can do the same thing. You can still spice it up, but just prepare and plan ahead. All right. And ultimately, when you prepare like this, helps you minimize activation energy. And what activation energy is like when you take energy to start something totally different. For example, let's talk about cold calling. So a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to cold call tomorrow for 2 hours from 8 to 10. I'm going to hit the phone. It's going to be great. Come tomorrow at 8 a.m. What do they do first? They open the laptop up. What do they do next? They open up their CRM. It could be Salesforce, HubSpot, whatever. They start building a list. And as they're about to making calls, they realize they're not sure about a couple of things. So they start researching the people they're going to call. They maybe look on LinkedIn. They look on G2. They start looking on different websites. And they start adding notes in. And before you know it, they spent an hour and they maybe made 1 or 2 phone calls. Fast forward 2 hours is over and they maybe made 3 calls, didn't book any meetings. And they're like, why is this so hard? The truth is with a little bit of preparation, you can make your life much easier. I'll give you a really good example. Back when I was in corporate America and we had a 4-hour phone session on Monday mornings, 8 a.m. to 12. And most reps would do exactly what is mentioned. Come at 8 a.m., they show up, all right, kind of pull up that list, start to do some research, start realizing they didn't do a good job, whatever. And before they're there for 4 hours, because they would manage numbers pretty tight, they still wouldn't book that many meetings anyways. They maybe book 6 to 8 at best. Most of them were worse than that. Most are 2 or 3. I knew this. And I also knew the more time I spent on the phone, the less time I could actually run sales calls. It was where you actually make the money. Instead of doing that, and I realized what they were doing, on Fridays in the afternoon for a couple hours, I would build my list. I would build my list, prepare, look it all up, have it prepared, make sure it's the right ICP, ideal customer profile, the right people. And I would do research for anything I was missing on LinkedIn, on their website, whatever, and just put those notes in. So I knew my list was ready to go and set. So I could just go down the list and call. And I even structured it where I had the hottest ones closest to money to it's cold. So I knew I'd call the best ones first. And then Sunday night before Monday, I just took a look at my list, make sure it's still set up, filtered properly, set up, make sure my laptop was on, ready to go. So I just need to flip it open and it's ready to go to the office, dock in, open it up, 8 o'clock goes, boom. And I started making calls. And I would book 8 to 12 meetings in about 2 hours, if not faster than that. And everyone's wondering how is this happening? I was just more prepared. That's all it was. So the separation is in the preparation. So, and I just didn't want to think. I want to go. So that's really the key. All right. Also, as part of preparation as well, how can you eliminate distractions? This is a big one. Especially in today's world, we have so many distractions, but this is to everything, right? So how can you eliminate distractions so you can increase your energy and focus on what is most important and prioritize what's going to move the lever the most? So for example, even your working space and environment, do you have a clean desk in your working environment? Do you have notifications turned off? If you have Slack, Outlook, or email or social media constantly popping off, that's going to distract you. Remember, all those things are designed to pull you away from what is most important and from what you need to do. When someone slacks you, you are now on someone else's priority, not yours. So it's really important to understand that. When you get a direct message on LinkedIn, social media, whatever, again, you're getting pulled away. So turn off all notifications. This is what I do. Don't use social media. Turn off all your, use an app limit on your phone. Get rid of social media, delete social media, and only use it when you choose to use it. All right. Close all. And then, for example, if you need to use Slack and email, close them all and do what you need to do. And once you're done and you want to check it, go check it after that. But this type of preparation in advance allows you to be superhuman in your execution. And I've seen this across the board for all those people who are excelling in any field, from business, sales, sports, whatever. All right, cool. Next, time blocking. So you really, this is what a lot of people, they don't understand how to properly time block. So some people time block say, oh yeah, cool. I blocked it on my Google Calendar and I'm going to make calls. And what they end up doing is they have many tasks that they're doing. They're like multitasking. They're trying to do all these things. Got social media opened up. They're Slack. They're firing off emails. And ultimately, they don't even get done what they want to get done in that block of time. So when you are truly properly time block as a habit, it's a habit that you build in where you have one singular task to complete. No multitasking. That is an absolute myth. You cannot do two things really well at the same time that require a lot of energy and brain power. That's just impossible. This is why people got in so many car accidents when they were driving and on the phone. So in our state, it's illegal now. It's illegal in most states, but people got in accidents all the time because they couldn't focus. They're in a deep conversation, right? This is why you can't watch a movie and drive your car at the same time. This is why it's hard to have a conversation with your spouse, a deep conversation with your spouse, if you're trying to watch a Netflix TV series. It's impossible. So you need a time block the things that are most important. You also want to make sure when you're time blocking, it's crystal clear the exact output desired in the time block. So for example here, when I was putting together, as you can tell, this is a pretty thorough training here. And I planned out 2 hours, I need all this out. You put it all on paper, put it all down. I'm not slacking my team back. I'm not reading messaging them. I don't have LinkedIn open. I have one thing open, singular focus. That's my habit. Boom, do nothing else. Plan it out in the calendar, and you want to eliminate attention residue. Because here's the thing, when you are trying to do multiple things within your time block, you have what's called attention residue. So for example, let's just say you're working on writing a really good cold email. You build 15 minutes worth of cold email. I'm just making an example up. And you get a text from a friend while you're doing it. You grabbing your phone, taking a look at a message, reading it. Maybe it's funny, maybe it's not. You respond back. By the time you get back to writing that cold email, even though you actually respond to the text, maybe it just took you, 30 seconds to a minute. You shifted your focus from what you were doing to that message. And then back, there's going to be some residue left of what you just read in your mind. And depending on what it is, say it's something really serious, it's going to potentially could hijack your whole day. So this is why you want to make sure you limit attention residue. And the way you do that is you do not just switch tasks back and forth. Choose one thing, go over it, get it done, etc. This is why if you plan too many things in one day, potentially there's always this delay between maybe 5, 10, 20 minutes, even more to go back to what you were doing. This is why if you're planning to do, say, a 2-hour call blitz and suddenly you respond to some Slack messages, before you know it, 30 minutes has gone by. Or if you check social media really quick, you're just now distracted by social media. They're trying to suck you in, and you're distracted now. You don't get anything done, and you go back. What the heck just happened today? And if you've ever felt like you've time blocked, and then you wrap your day up, and you're not sure what you got done that day, you probably didn't effectively time block. It might be in your calendar, but you're probably trying to do too many things. So make it a habit to actually time block so your focus is the right spot and same with your energy. So ultimately your results will go up. Whoa, whew. We are about halfway through the video so far. If you have not done so yet, make sure smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe as well. It'll mean the world to me. It does tell YouTube that people do enjoy these videos, and that would be absolutely awesome. It would mean a lot to me. So make sure to subscribe and also the bell button as well. All right, let's keep rocking. All right, number 8. Say no. All right. So everyone say yes. The truth is, if you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. And whatever you're saying yes to means that thing to be more valuable than you doing anything else. And I'll give you a really good example. This is a personal habit, right? So if you say yes to answering a phone call at dinner with your family, you are subconsciously telling your family that that phone call is more important than time with them. And I remember this is something that it really hit home for me, because I remember like back in corporate America, I would travel every single week and I would land, get in my car to 45-minute drive from the airport to my house. I'd be on a phone call. And early on, I didn't do a good job ending the phone call and just going to my house. So I would take the phone call, go into my house, even though I hadn't seen my family in days. Here I am on the phone talking to someone else. I was saying yes to this other person and saying no to my family. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And I didn't realize this, my wife pointed out. So I'm glad she told me that, because I didn't have that self-awareness. And I share that with you. This applies to everything. So every time you say yes to an email, yes to an activity, yes to a task, yes to going out to drink, yes to do this, you're saying no to other things. When you say yes to watching Netflix, you are saying no to something else you can do that time. If you are saying yes to drinking with your buddies, you're saying no to other things that can actually help you in your life. So understand that. So you want to say no to protect your time, your energy, and your focus on what truly matters. You want to create those boundaries so you can prioritize what is most important to you. Less is more. So for example, even as the time of this recording, right now, I'm really bullish on YouTube. So I'm working heavily on building my YouTube channel up, provide massive value and content for all the people out there. I don't have that many followers, subscribers on there, and I'm okay with that, but I want to focus my energy on here. Now, this, at the time of this recording, TikTok is huge right now. Everyone's like, TikTok is the way to go. It's the way to go. If I said yes to TikTok as well, now I'm saying no to YouTube. And if I try to split my focus up, I'm going to do a bad job of both. So I'd much rather say no to TikTok now, focus on YouTube, go all in, and get really, really good at YouTube. And then once I'm really good at that, I can delegate it out and then add on TikTok. So learning how to say no is so wildly powerful. This is a very good habit. All right, number 9, protecting the mind and really developing that growth and learning habit. So the hardest territory to manage is right between your ears. And there's a lot of things that really will just try to hurt your mind. And you want to eliminate all the noise possible. Make this sound like news, gossip, etc. So for example, I don't have any news apps on my phone. And the Apple News I can't delete on my phone, I disable notifications. I don't want to read it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, right? So I'm protecting my mind. And what you want to do is feed the brain and growth and learning, making growth and learning a habit. Very important, because ultimately the way we perceive the world and how we do things is based upon the information we receive from the world. And that comes from everywhere. I'll give you an example here. So when I work out and I make dinner and when I drive, I actually don't listen to music. And some might be like, that is really weird. I know, I'm a weird dude, but I take that time and I utilize it to learn. So when I was commuting a lot back when I was like an employee driving back and forth, I used to have a 2-hour commute each day. So when you really break that down, that's about 10 hours a week. So most people in that time would just listen to music, listen to the news, listen to whatever. It is what it is. That's your choice. That's your habit. I decided to create a better habit. So I took the 500 hours a year, which is what it broke down to, which equates to about 50 books on tape or through Audible. And I listened to them multiple times in order to cement it in. So I want you to really think about this for a second. And I was listening to books that would feed my mind, make me grow. Like, I want you to imagine 2 different people. One person reads maybe 1 book a year versus someone who reads 50 plus books a year of things that feed their mind, make them grow, give them a perspective on the world. Who has a competitive advantage on sales calls now, selling to C-suite executives? Who has a competitive advantage in life? Who is actually more worldly? So that when you start thinking about this is how you start learning at a different level. This is actually why when you talk to someone who is uneducated, and I'm not talking about going to college or school, I'm talking about actually those who have that growth mindset. So they're reading books, they're in masterminds, they're traveling the world, seeing different things, learning from all across the world. They're not just depending on the news and whatever channel they're watching or their friends' gossip or Facebook. Those people who understand that are more well-rounded and better conversationalists, because you're able to talk about them on so many different levels and there's so much depth to them as a character, versus the person who only hangs with the same high school drinking buddies, who has not really changed much, and they don't really travel the world, they don't really read, all their news is from social media. It's a wildly different conversation. They talk about different things. There's no real depth of conversation. It's very superficial. And I realized this early on, especially in my 20s, where I had a lot of friendships like that. We were just drinking friends, and they're great friends to have at the time of my life at that season, but I've had to make that change and make it a habit to actually learn. All right. And when you think about this, when you multiply this out over years, you now become a whole different person. I think about all the knowledge and all the things I've acquired, even stuff I'm sharing today in this video today. This is stuff I've learned and acquired over time. It wasn't just 1 book. It wasn't just 2 books. It wasn't just 1 person. It was all these different areas I'm learning from the most successful people in the world. And the only way you can change your decisions and how you change your decision and change how you look at the world is based on the information you put into your head and what you're protective of it. So when you think about this, whatever we consume consistently will fill your mind. So if you fill your mind, endless TikTok dance videos, that's what you're going to think about. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's what you're going to think about. If you fill your mind with negative news, that's what you're going to think about. If you start filling your social media feed with celebrities who had all this plastic surgery and this ideal way of looking, that's what you start to think about. And you start to compare and second guess yourself, etc. So it's really a choice what you want to think about. So you make it a habit, you might as well choose what's going to serve you. And when you choose the right habits about learning and growth, this helps feed your energy and your focus. Number 10 here. So sacrifice and delay gratification. Take a sip of water. If you don't sacrifice for what you want will become the sacrifice. So I'll give you a good example. So I used to love partying every single weekend. I mean, I used to be called the Chanimal for a reason. All right. And the truth was, is like when you're younger, you think you're almost invincible, right? I'm like, oh, I'm awesome. Like, oh, I can go out and party all night, be absolutely awesome. I can have 2 hours of sleep. It's totally great. But what I was really sacrificing was peak performance for drinking. That's what it broke down to, right? And ultimately, I didn't realize at the time, but that's what it was. I used to spend also a lot of time just watching a lot of TV and a lot of Netflix, a lot of whatever, streaming a lot of movies. I spent like, no joke, especially early on, especially once we got Netflix, I would spend, even when I got married, literally probably 10, 20 hours of like Netflix, it seemed like, from Friday through Sunday, which sounds insane as we reflect back now. It sounds kind of crazy. But once you got in a series, I'm like, I have to watch this whole series now. So what I was doing, though, is I was sacrificing being able to do something different. And when I realized this, it was actually really shocking. And I remember I did this for years until about probably 2012 or 13. I started realizing how much time I was wasting doing that. Actually, it was about 2015. So at that point, I realized I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What are we doing right here? So I started transferring over time, minimizing how much I was watching, taking the same amount of time, and started doing other things, learning about online businesses, learning about how to build a business, how to influence more people, how to create digital products, info products. I started learning back then. And when I started learning and consuming the right types of content, it was feeding my mind, eliminating some of these things. This allowed me years later to start a couple years later, build a side hustle, start making money, and ultimately be able to, combine that with all the money I was making in corporate America to quit and retire at 35, whatever I wanted, because of understanding that and delaying that self-gratification. I didn't get the instant high watching a cool series because I was delaying that gratification of building something greater for the future, for myself, my family, for my mental health, everything else. All right. The second piece is that delayed gratification is key. The reality is everything takes longer than you think. Everything. It takes longer. Getting in shape, learning new skill, etc. We all wish we pick something up and be overnight successes. That's just not the case. Okay. So building as a habit of delayed gratification is so powerful. So the way you do it is you make it a habit by doing the things that are hard and don't show immediate results. So for example here, my LinkedIn journey. So I remember when I quit my corporate job and went all into my business in September 2019, one of the social media channels I'm not really taking advantage of, which I knew I'd be able to help a lot of people, would be on LinkedIn. And my prior company I was working at, they were not really cool with me putting out a lot of content on LinkedIn. So I really didn't do much on LinkedIn. So I maybe had like 2,000, maybe 3,000 followers at the time. So I knew a great way to build up a great audience and be able to influence more people, generate a lot of leads, close a lot of business was going to be LinkedIn. So I started posting content on LinkedIn. First week, maybe 1 or 2 subscribers, right? No leads. And I kept going every single day. Okay. And I literally posted every single day for about 6 months before I started building some actual traction and started getting some like recognition. And then fast forward about a year, so even about a full year, just doing consistently and literally writing hundreds and thousands of words of content and videos and engaging on there, taking the time to be disciplined and not seeing any real return. I started getting a lot of leads. And on top of that, I started getting recognition. And I started having, media publications reach out to me from Forbes, etc. Fast forward, even that year in 2020, that was a year where I got recognized by LinkedIn as a top voice for sales. So this took me literally 15 months of writing and posting content for them to say, oh, you know what? This guy actually knows what he's talking about. And that's literally hundreds of thousands of words, filming tons of videos, but tons of content. And as a result, I started building up like a snowball. And what's cool is that delayed gratification, it compounds and it keeps compounding because I'm consistent with it. So it's sacrificing the easy way of doing things by doing the things that are hard to do, but will move the needle the most long-term wise that pay off in the long run. Okay. It's been huge. So, and then fast forward, we've done really cool things since then. So anyways, ties into other things like eating clean, working out, not responding to notifications immediately. So when you practice discipline equals freedom. And when you understand that, the most successful people understand that. They understand there's no true overnight success. If it's easy come, easy go, they build sustainable things that are going to pay off in the long run. So for example, this is why when you look at people like, say, a Michael Phelps, decorated Olympians in the world, not just for some, but really in the world for all sports, things that he would do were hard. So for example, one of the things I read about him, I'm assuming it's true, but he would work out 7 days a week. He would work out on a Sunday when he knew Majority of his competition was taking rest day. He would do it Sunday because he knew by putting in one extra workout a week, he would have 52 more workouts over the year, more than his competition. And if it was for 2 hours, that's 104 hours of gain he has over his competition. So when you start thinking about it, was that hard? I'm sure it was. That's not enjoyable. Like saying, I'm going to go work out on a Sunday, even though you could be out having fun. This is what's all about. True greatness requires sacrifice. You need to understand, what do you want? How bad do you want it? And what are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to go? And all the most successful people in the world understand it, and they make it a habit. And they make it a habit through some of these bigger things they do, but also through smaller things as well that ultimately will pay off in the long run. All right, number 11, simple systems building and execution. So you can kind of see now all these habits are stacking on each other, because you could start eating really clean for one day, but it's going to fall to the side, right? You can work out really well for 1 week and it's going to fall to the side. So you want to build simple systems in your life that allows you to and systems in life lead to repeatable results. So for example, if you want better health, you need a better diet and workout system. If you want more pipeline, you need a better prospecting system. And whatever you want consistency in, you need to build systems to help you. And I want to give you 2 systems I personally have built for myself, which has helped a lot. So for example here, the problem number 1 was information overload and everything. So I realized I wasn't very good at memory, just having good memory. I couldn't remember everything. And when you think about this, everyone, we're in this world where we have information at our fingertips, and we're constantly have information flow at us. In fact, right now, you're watching this, information is flowing from me to you into your brain. You're probably going to remember like maybe 2% of it, all right? So you need a way, I needed a way to be able to categorize and compartmentalize. And for me, it was, for example, some examples here from, employees to training, school, my kid, whatever. As I got information in, I needed a solution. So my solution was creating a very simple note-taking categorization system that allows me to input data and access it when I need to compartmentalize it. And this has been wildly important for me because this helps make me better. So for example, this is a great personal example. When I first moved to my neighborhood here years ago, I was now meeting everyone for the first time. I didn't know their names. I couldn't remember. I'm terrible with names. So what did I do? I grab my note-taking system, go to my section for neighbors, and I'm putting in literally their address and their names, husband, spouse, and their kiddos' names. Like I'm putting it all in there. I'm like, all right, cool. So now I know. So now I have a system for memorizing. So I'm basically I can just set it and forget it. When you understand that, this is a habit now. This is a habit I'm going to stick to. It's going to help me become a better and superhuman about anything. So for example, I can, even when I was having debriefs with a former boss of mine, I can look up right now if I want to notes that on things we discussed 8 years ago if I wanted to. What was most important to me then? And this helps me on reference points to improve my game. So when you start thinking this way, this helps me retain information better. If I'm in a new mastermind, a coach program, etc., I'm not just taking information, I'm taking it, compartmentalizing, and digesting it so I can actually do something with it. Now, the second example I'm going to share with you is the problem I was running into is I would have a task overload. So like maybe if I'm in a mastermind or a coaching program or tasks at work or things I had to do for my employees, I couldn't remember all this stuff. So balls would get dropped, right? Like, okay, I'm remember to do this on this day. You're not going to remember, right? I remember paying my bills on this day. You're not going to remember. So my simple solution was building a very simple task management system that helps me stay on top of recurring tasks, new tasks, etc. So I never miss a deadline. So for example here, like literally I have one place now where I put all my tasks, recurring, birthdays, anniversaries, presents, and planning in advance, right? To paying bills, to specific things I want to work on. It's all in one place. One place. I use Google Tasks for that. So I have a very simple system. It works out perfectly. The tasks show up on the right days. I work on those tasks and I have high prioritization so I can make sure my energy and focus are on the right things that are ultimately going to help. Again, this is a simple system, right? The information overload, same thing as well. It's one system. It's one place to take notes, all spot. One spot categorized by folders and buckets, etc. I can easily access it. And there's many tools for that. I use Apple Notes. It's really easy to use. All right, cool. So you also make it a habit to build a simple system and then sticking to it. Now, this really ties into number 9. Okay, so number 9, remember properly, is protecting your mind and the growth and learning habit. So it's being able to go through and transform into reality. So when I'm reading a book, I'm not just like, oh, cool, that was a great book. I'm not going to do, and then do nothing with it. Like, it doesn't matter if you read 100 books a year, if you're not able to take the data from the book and apply it, even just one single thing. So by building a simple system, again, I'm literally taking the notes that I'm learning, and I'm either going to put it into a task, from a task action item to do next, or into just notes as an easy reference. So for example, I'm reading a book called Tax-Free Wealth. Really great book about building wealth and tax strategy, stuff that I just didn't know anything about, because I want to learn more about. Well, I might just read like, oh, that sounds really cool. I'm taking some notes, but the tasks I want, I have a specific task to do those specific things to help me reduce my taxable income. That's 100% legal. So that's how you start taking things that you're learning and making it real. And the better system that you have, the less energy you'll take to do, and the more focus that you'll have. This is why it's so key, because the reality is most people, even from an information perspective, taking too much information, they're like, I'm overwhelmed. And then they do nothing. If you build a system to take it all and simplify it down, you're going to have more focus, more energy, and you do things that really matter. And over time, you get the results that you're looking for. All right, number 12, but this is a big one, making decisions based on your future self. Now, we often make decisions based on where we are at mentally, which ultimately leads to getting the same results we've always had. All right, I'm gonna say it again. We often make decisions based on where we are mentally, which ultimately leads to getting the same results we've always had. So for example, if you're making $100,000 a year, you've made decisions that have led to you earning $100,000 a year. If you want to make $250,000 a year, you need to make the decisions that a $250,000 a year earner would make, right? Because ultimately, our future is determined based off decisions that we make. So when you understand that to be true, then you know you have to make better decisions. That's just a reality. If, for example, if you do not believe you're a good parent, you're making decisions that lead to that belief thought process. If you want to become a better parent, you make different decisions of the ideal parent. This is how you start changing who you are and changing your identity. And you have become massively wealthy, rich people, rich in life, rich in health, rich in wealth, rich in everything. They understand this. So they're making decisions that are based off the future self. So this is making it a habit that you make decisions based on what your future self would make. So for example, let's just say, for example, your alarm goes off and you want to become, you want to get better at just getting out of bed. If the average mediocre version of yourself is going to hit snooze 30 times and wake up late, what would the best version you do? Not hit it at all and just get up? That's the action you want to make. All right. So really what you want to ask yourself is, what would the best version of me has already achieved the results I want to do right now? So it's really burn that question into your mind. What would the best version of me has already achieved the results I want to do right now? So for example, if you are looking to make a job switch, and I'll give you a real example. So I remember back in 2011, I was really fortunate to really solid business success, was promoted multiple times at this point, and life was really good, making really good income, just bought my first house. I also finished my MBA, got married, life is like flowing. And one of the things that I wanted to add more skills to my game. I knew I wondered, could I do what I was doing here and go somewhere else and do the same thing as well? And I would get recruited nonstop. And there's one opportunity. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of upside here, from career growth, upper mobility, income, etc. But it was still scary. It was a gamble because I knew I was leaving behind a lot of really good stuff. I had a good reputation, all these things. Everyone loved me. It was like at the time like a $20 billion company, even the president. I mean, I had a good reputation. Life was really good. But I had to ask myself, what would the best version of me do right? What would the best version of me who's already achieved my big goals I have in life do right now? And it became crystal clear. I needed to make the switch. I needed to make the switch because this was a very calculated gamble, if you will, to make that move, which is going to help me leap forward so many moves down the road. It was going to require a lot of delayed gratification and sacrifice, but I was making that tough decision because of that reason. So as a result of doing that, obviously I was still scared, but I did it anyways. And that was a big part on how I was able to retire by 35, because I was able to build up so much wealth and earnings and income and skills because of that. So when you started thinking this way, you start making different decisions. Because remember, if you were indecisive, being indecisive is still a decision. If I was indecisive about the move, I didn't make the move, I'm deciding to stay where I'm at. I'm deciding I'm okay with mediocrity. I'm okay with my current state. I'm okay with not changing, growing, etc. So when you start thinking this way, you start playing a different level. You start making better decisions. If you're hungry and you want to be healthy and your goal is to drop yourself down to 10% body fat, you want to be lean, mean, and looking good, when you have that cake at your house or you're in the store, you get a delicious cake or cookies or cinnamon rolls, your current self wants to eat it, but your best future self would say, nope, we're going to skip it. We're going to bypass it. We're going to keep on going. We need to eliminate temptation. And that's how you start thinking. When you start thinking this way, your life starts changing. All right, 13. This is a big one. All right, so 13, investing as a habit. This, again, has also had a massive impact across the board of my whole life. And when I think about this, there's really two ways you can really invest. There's internally, yourself, and externally. So internally, it's like your mind and your body, right? Really, really huge. Externally, that's stocks, real estate, index funds, crypto, whatever. Do both. Invest in both, right? This is a habit that has to be developed over time. And if you're not used to investing, then you're not going to invest. So you have to start somewhere. This is why they say, if maybe you've never invested in, say, a stock, it's not saying go get 50K and just invest stock right there. They can start a little bit. Start investing like $50 a week, $100 a week. Start building it up so you get used to it and you build that habit of investing. All right. So I'll tell you right now, investing internally into the mind and body has had the greatest ROI return for myself personally. So from investing to coaches, mastermind, et cetera, from those who've already achieved well and achieved at greater scale, has helped give me really clear focus on what to do. This is why it's so key to make sure. That's why I'm learning from billionaires and people way smarter than me, because I want like whatever habits they have, I want those same habits. If I have those same habits, by law of that, then naturally my results are going to go up as well. It may not be the same scale, but at least it'll be way more than I ever expect as well. So maybe I'll never be a billionaire. I'd love to be a billionaire, but maybe I'll never get there. But I'll be pretty happy if my net worth is 500 million. I'm just saying. So understand that. So investing internally is one of the greatest ROIs. So that's really, really key. This is why look at LeBron James. He invests over $1 million a year into his mind and body. Think about this for a second. This is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, arguably. He invests over $1 million a year. He's already at the top of the game, and he's still investing into his body, his health, his mind to make sure he stays on the game, and he has that 1% edge on everyone else. This is what the elite do at a massive scale. All right. Now, on top of that, it's got to be done consistently as a habit and not a one-time event. That's a mistake a lot of people make. They're like, oh, okay, cool. I invested in some stock 10 years ago. That's cool. But if you're not consistently doing it, that's an issue. If you joined you invest into like a mastermind program or a conference 3 years ago, are you consistently doing it, right? The elite are constantly investing into themselves. This is so key. If I invest into high quality foods, organic, healthy, minimal chemicals or anything, it costs more. But if I only do it for 1 year, and then after that, you like garbage, again, you're decreasing your energy, your focus, and ultimately your results. So this type of investing must be done consistently as a habit, which is going to help you. So for another example is I actually automate all my external investments and I leverage dollar cost averaging. And also invest constantly into myself as well. Really, really huge. All right. This is a doozy of a training. All right. So quick summary here. How we do anything is how we do everything. You've now seen, these are the 13 habits where they're not complex by any means, but this is what I have seen the greatest, most successful people in the world across all fields do consistently across the board. You don't have to be perfect, but you want to be consistent. And your habits can either serve you or hurt you. If you don't choose your habits, they're going to be chosen for you by external people, by who you are as a person, and that can be either good or bad. So if you know that to be true, you might as well choose habits that are going to serve you. And when you habit stack the right habits, this will lead to a rich life. And I'm not talking about just rich from money. This is like rich in health, rich in happiness, rich in just the level of life that you actually want from a fulfillment perspective. Oftentimes, the results that we get in life are a result of bad habits. Or if we're not having the results in our life, it's a result of bad habits we developed in the past. So you want to habit stack the right habits, which will lead to a rich life. And it doesn't mean you need to change everything overnight, but you start stacking them and lead to consistency, right? So for example here, with some of these things I mentioned, let's just say you want to improve working out, but you have trouble committing right now, or you commit to say 2 hours a day, which is a lot to work out. If you don't have kids and you have all this free time, that makes sense. So maybe you start with, all right, every single day for 1 minute, I'm going to do 1 minute of sit-ups and push-ups. All right, next week, 2 minutes. Next week, 3 minutes. And you kind of start stacking these habits on top of that to expand and explode them. And you do it for everything we discussed today, right? Because ultimately, when you build habits that are the right habits, it will lead to the life you want to achieve. Only if you're building habits that the future best version of you would do. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this training so far. Again, knowledge means nothing without action. Action is what creates results. So there you have it, 13 non-sales habits I learned from billionaires that have had the greatest impact on my sales results and my life. Now, if you enjoyed this video, of course, make sure to hit like, but more importantly, drop me a comment below. Out of all of those habits, which one spoke the most to you? I hope you enjoyed this video. Have an absolutely amazing day and see you in the next video.